So I'm not going to share any more of his surprises or any more of his story because he's perfectly well placed to do that for himself. I would like you to put your hands together, please, to welcome back to the MES Cairo stage, Ahmed Kadry.
So, let me start. I'm sharing with you my journey ever since I left MES until today. I have had ups and downs. I'll share everything with you. So, the title of my talk today is How to Follow Your Passion. And you will later on get to know what I did to be in the place I am right now. So, back in 2005, I took my very first photography class at MES. And that was my first camera on the left. It's a Canon G7. And it was still the very first time MES used to offer a photography class. I was really lucky to be one of these students who enrolled in this class, not knowing that this class would change my entire life. And mark my words, it changed my entire life. So you really have to pay attention to what you do today, because it will really shape the person you become tomorrow. And let me tell you that the last time I stood on this stage, it was exactly 12 years ago, 2007. I stood on the same stage over there, and Mr. Purcell used to be the head of the American section. And during the award ceremony, I was chosen to be I took an academic achievement for being the best student or whatever in my year group. So the last time I stood here was 12 years ago. Not knowing that 12 years later I would stand on the same stage to talk to you guys. You weren't even, like, I'm sure you were born, but you were like, what, 2 or 3 years old when I got this award. So you never know what tomorrow holds. You need to work on every single day and just let God take care of the rest. So I'll show you a very small part of that talk.
Not just people who put in effort, but are making improvements, noticeable improvements, to become better people, better students, and that's what this is all about, the entire education process here. So it's a great honor and privilege to introduce to you Ahmed Kadry, this year's most improved.
Yeah, that was 12 years ago. And as I speak right now, I could see the faces sitting here exactly as if it was yesterday. That was 12 years ago. I had no clue I would be coming back again one day to give a speech. That's why I'm saying you need to work every day and just don't think about tomorrow. Tomorrow, let it take care of its own. Just work every single day and make sure you're doing your best. Because 12 years later, I was back again on this stage talking to you guys. So, let me share with you, at least from my own perspective, essentials, or I'll call it the success recipe, the essentials to follow your passion. Because this is exactly what I've done. Later on, I'll share with you what exactly I did after I graduated, where I studied and everything, but I just want you to keep these 4 things in your mind as I go through this presentation. Please, I really want you to remember every single point of these 4 points, because I'm not here today to talk about myself. This is the last thing I ever do. I'm not here today to talk about how good I am or how successful I am, because I really don't consider myself good at all, and there are thousands of people a lot better than me. But if I can tell you one thing about me, is that I never stop trying. That's the only thing which puts me aside from everyone. I'm not the best, but I never stop trying. And that's something you really have to keep in your mind. So, these are 4 things I'm sharing with you, and I really want you to keep into consideration as I talk today through the other points I have in mind. So, first thing, never give up. And I want to say something very quick about never giving up. And I'll show you how time plays a huge factor when it comes to if you want to give up or not. So, If I was to talk to myself when I was back in grade 9 or 10 when I took my first photography class, and if I was, let's say hypothetically, that I told myself, Ahmed, in 16 years or in 15 years, you will be exclusively shooting the national team and Mohamed Salah and Cristiano Ronaldo, Kevin De Bruyne at the World Cup. I wouldn't, of course I didn't know who these were back then. But I'm just saying hypothetically. If I said in 15 years, you will be shooting the national team at the World Cup, I wouldn't even pay attention or care, because that's a very long, it's a very long road down, long time. I mean, 15 years is way too much. But look at it from this perspective. If I worked very hard every single day, not knowing what tomorrow has to offer, and it just happens by time, and after 15 years, when I was sitting in this classroom in grade 9, I would have never even dreamt of accompanying the national team at the World Cup, and I'll show you everything about it later. So think of it this way. If you work hard every single day, you will reach your goal at the very right time. There's a saying I really like. It says, patience gets you everywhere on time. Don't worry. You will be at the right place where you need to be at the right time. Don't worry about tomorrow. But if I said, in 15 years I'll be shooting the national team at the World Cup, I would lose interest or not even believe or whatever. 15 years, it's a very long time down the road. But look at it on the other way, as I said. Work hard every day and just let tomorrow take care of itself. So never give up. If I gave up, and let me tell you that I had so many obstacles and so many problems and ups and downs in my life and my career. If I had given up, I wouldn't have been standing today talking to you. So never give up, trust me. That's the only difference between successful people and anyone else. If you fail 99 times, I'm sure you'll make it on your 100th time. So never give up. That's the first thing. Second thing, believe in yourself. There is not a single human who can know the capabilities of yourself but you. You need to believe in yourself, not even your parents. And let me tell you that my father is sitting here today watching me speak. And this guy, I owe him my life. And, but let me tell you that the day I decided to quit my corporate job and pursue my dream into doing photography and filmmaking for the rest of my life, it was a huge deal. He told me, how can you leave the corporate world? How can you leave a multinational company to go and do photography? But you know what? It's my vision. Nobody on this planet would know your vision better than yourself or your capabilities, not even your parents. Don't get me wrong. Your parents, of course, are the most people who would want everything good for you. But you know your capabilities. You know what you're made of. You know what you can do. So you need to focus on that. Believe in yourself. If everyone around you tells you can't do it, show them why you can. Believe in yourself. That's a very important thing. Third thing, you need to find yourself a role model, an icon, someone successful at something, and you need to shadow them and see how they've become successful. I have a few role models in my life. But you need someone who's good at what they do, and you need to see why they're good at doing it. And you need to mark everything they do. Nobody in this world doesn't have a role model. You can't. We learn from each other's mistakes, and we learn from each other's accomplishments. So you need to find yourself a role model and follow what they do in certain things, not copying them, but just seeing how they become successful. And the last and most important thing, and trust me and take my words for that, you need to stay humble. No matter how successful you are, no matter how good you think you are, you need to stay humble. And that is the most important point of them all, to me. If you think that you're good, and if you think that nobody else can do what you're doing, and that's the first step of failure. You need to be very humble, and you need to do whatever you're doing and always try to think that you're still not doing well. That's the reason and the reason behind success, and to keep successful, you just need to be very humble. No matter how great you think you are, you're not that great. So, I want you to really focus on these 4 points as I talk throughout the presentation. Because I'm not here today to talk about how successful or great I am. This is not why I'm here. I'm here to share with you my journey, and maybe it inspires anyone here. That would be an honor for me. So, mark them down. And I really like this quote. And believe it or not, it was one of the main reasons why I left my job. Read it carefully and digest it. It says, when you're scared to jump, that is exactly when you should jump. Otherwise, you'll end up staying in the same place for the rest of your life. I'm sure everyone knows that feeling of, let's say, for example, if you want to jump in the water from a cliff or something, you're a bit scared, you keep looking down, it's so scary, and you can stay like this for an hour or 2 hours. But think of it that way. If you took the decision that you want to jump, you should jump on the spot, or else you'll just keep staying. You'll just stay like this and you won't jump. You need to take a decision and just do it. And that's what I've done. I quit my job. I used to work at a multinational company. I'll talk about it later. I quit my job, I opened my company, and I'll share with you how my journey started. So, I really like this quote. It really helped me a lot before I quit my job, so mark it down. So, let me tell you the difference or why I chose these pictures to have them beside each other. On the right, that's a picture of me when I used to work in the advertising and the account management field, and that was my boss. He was my boss. And on the left, that's me over here, watching the northern lights in Iceland when I was filming my latest video clip. It'll be out very soon. Just digest these 2 pictures. That's the corporate world, and that's when I decided to leave and follow my dreams and follow my passion. I'm sure you would all love to be there, not there. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying or trying to advocate that if you work in a company or in a multinational or whatever, that's bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm here to say I took the other way and it's going really well for me. Maybe this inspires anyone sitting here. Someone wants to sing, someone wants to dance, someone wants to play basketball, whatever, for the rest of his life. If you think you have what it takes, then do it. So, I'm about to share with you my journey ever since I graduated from MES until today. In a few images, they'll talk about each one of them and how it shaped the man I've become today. So, first stop, and this is for me, it's the most important stop of my career. As I told you, I stayed in MES for 12 years, from year 1 to grade 12, and it definitely shaped the man who's standing in front of you right now. With all the things I was taught here, even tying up my top button. I would never forget this. Walking down the corridor and just getting detention for not tying up my top button. I'm sure it's still, right? You still do that? Yes? Yeah, so that was back 15 years ago, it was still the same. And you know, if you think of it, why do I have to tie my top button? Why is it that strict? But trust me, you need discipline in your life. You need discipline. If you're not disciplined and if you're not punctual, you will never be successful. Mark my words, once again, I used to wear the same uniform and I used to sit on the same exact chair you're sitting at. And I've had a lot of alumni talk to us back then. And I wouldn't really relate, but I promise you, 12 years later I'm back here and I'm telling you it does matter. You need to learn how to be disciplined and you need to learn how to be punctual. If you're not punctual, trust me, you're not getting anywhere. So that's why they teach you these things in school. You might not think that's the best thing, but trust me, it really does shape the person you become tomorrow. So you need to be disciplined in certain times of your life. That's the first thing. After MES, I graduated from MES, I went to AUC, and I studied marketing. And I want to share with you, I only stayed there for 2 years. And then I transferred, I went to Canada, Toronto, I studied there also, and I graduated from Toronto. But I stayed only 2 years at AUC. And these are two very quick accomplishments I want to share with you. And just mark my words, because remember when I told you I was here and I got the award of the best student in my year group? That wasn't by chance. Once you succeed in something, trust me, there's nothing in this world which is better than this feeling. Nothing. To be successful, I promise you. So when I stood on this stage in grade 12, getting the award of the best student in my year group, that wasn't by chance. I worked a lot for it. And ever since, this was the beginning, it kept growing something inside me. I want more. I want more. I want to be good at what I do. So everything else which is about to happen, it did not come by coincidence. Trust me. You need to work hard. There is no free dinner in life. You need to work hard. This was my first magazine feature in one of the biggest magazines at AUC. And I studied, like one day I just found an article being written about me. That was a huge thing for me. It was the first time I get featured on a magazine. That was a huge thing for me. So this also gave me more motivation to work more. And the picture you see down here, there was a photography competition by Cairo University, and it was for every single student in Egypt. All universities, Cairo University, AUC, MSA, MIU, everyone had the right to submit a picture. And guess what? I ended up first on every single student in Egypt in a competition. I ended up first. And once again, I'm trying to emphasize on something. It wasn't by coincidence. I work hard, I like to read, I like to practice. So I entered the competition and I came out first on all of Egypt. That was a big thing for me. I graduated from Canada, Toronto as I told you, and I started working in the corporate life. And I want to stop here for a second and tell you something. It's totally fine to not know what you want to do in your life at the beginning. Totally fine. Let me surprise you and tell you something else. I was even considering becoming a diplomat in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs before I pursued my dream. So it's totally fine. I worked in advertising. I wanted to be a diplomat before I decided to quit and follow my passion. That's the best thing I've ever done in my life. So it's totally okay to not know what you want. I'm sure half of you are sitting here right now thinking, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to study in school. It's fine. But I'm talking today, I'm trying to emphasize more. If you have a certain passion which you think you can invest in, don't let it go. Believe in yourself. I'm trying to cut the story short for you, because it took me 3 to 4 years before I decided to quit my job and pursue what I love. So I worked in these two companies, and these are one of the two biggest advertising agencies in the world. They're based in the US. And I got the job as soon as I graduated from Canada. I came back to Egypt. I worked at BBDO and Promo 7 as an account manager. And let me tell you that the 3 years I spent in this field, they gave me a lot of experience, a lot of connections, and a lot of exposure. They really did. So if I go back in time, I would actually still want to relive these days again, because I got so many connections, and I got to know many people in the field, directors and graphic designers. I have so many good connections in this field. So it did shape the person I am today. But I only stayed there for 3 to 4 years and I quit. Okay, and this was one of the biggest, I wouldn't call it obstacles, but one of the biggest cornerstones of my life. Quitting my job and following my dreams. But again, back to the 4 things I told you. Believe in yourself. You're the only one who knows what you're capable of. Believe in yourself. I decided to quit, and I applied to one of the top 5 photography schools in the world. It's in Paris. and I got accepted, and that was a huge thing for me. I went to Paris, I studied, I got a diploma in photography, technical things. And along the journey, I would always like to learn. So I studied at MES. My first photography class ever was at MES in 2005. That was the beginning of everything. If I hadn't taken this class, I wouldn't be standing here today, because I learned a lot. And when I went to AUC, I took 2 classes, Introduction to Photography and Advanced Photography. And I used to be the first one in the class, in both classes. And my teachers would talk to me, Ahmed, you're doing great. You're not like any other student. And never neglect these indications. Never neglect them. Because these indications are the things you should really hang on and improve. When my teachers told me, Ahmed, you're doing great. Ahmed, you're not like any other student. I really paid attention to what they're saying. And I really tried to develop my talent and my passion. So I went to France and I studied in this school. I came back, I started working in photography, but that wasn't it. I stayed for 2 years doing photography, and then I got another motivation, which was to study filmmaking and directing. And I went to Prague Film School. I studied there, I got my diploma, I came back and I started directing. I direct advertisements and travel videos. And that wasn't it. I decided to open my company, and I opened the company, which is specialized in digital content. And I'll tell you a very few clients I work with. I work with Four Seasons, Pepsi, Royal Air Morocco, W Barcelona, and many other hotels. Can you just see how this 15-year-old sitting in a classroom, how his ambitions, they grew day by day, and that's how you evolve. If you look at it, what are you going to do? You'll be a photographer? What is that? But no, I had a different vision. I kept advancing, I kept learning. I wanted to open my company. That's how you grow. This is life. You have to grow each day more and more and learn and be ambitious. And then that was another very big milestone in my life. I decided to do my first gallery in collaboration with the Japanese embassy in Egypt, and I extended my invitation. This guy over here, he's the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Egypt, Ambassador Nabil Fahmy. And just imagine, when I went to his office to invite him to my gallery, and that he actually accepted my invitation to come, that was a huge thing for me. I was only 26, and having the Minister of Foreign Affairs come to my gallery, that was a huge thing. Again, believe in yourself. And he's the Japanese ambassador in Egypt. I did a gallery in Egypt and I sold half of the pictures I had there, and it was my first collaboration with an embassy. And let me share with you a few achievements across the road which I'm proud of. First one, I don't know if any of you are interested in football, I'm sure half of you are, but this guy, he was the best player in the English Premier League and the top scorer, Riyad Mahrez, 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Next one, I was chosen to shoot Miss Universe in her first official visit in Egypt. And it was a big thing in the pyramids. I'm sure most of you know this concept of, it's called Follow Me Too. If you have Instagram, if you make sure you follow them. These are the founders of this concept. They are the most followed travel content creators in the world. They have over 8 million followers or something. And this guy, his name is Murad Osman on Instagram. He founded this concept with his wife. I'm sure everyone takes these pictures. She's standing and someone is holding her hands. And they're very good friends of mine. I met them in Paris and we became friends. And I got them to Egypt and we did a very big campaign promoting tourism in Egypt. I was a huge fan. But I worked hard to go out there and reach them and talk to them and get them to Egypt. Once again, you have to work hard. And please, as I talk, I'm not saying this to say how successful or good I am. I'm not. There are 100 people better than me. But the only thing I promised you which was, I really do work hard and I have ambition. That's the thing you really should have inside of you. Know your capabilities and never stop trying, and you will get there. And that was a major turning point in my career. I was chosen to accompany the Egyptian national team at the World Cup. And it was the first time we qualified to the World Cup in 29 years. So it was a huge thing. I'm sure we were all super excited to see them play, although they didn't really do well, but still. I had the chance to meet Cristiano Ronaldo, take a selfie with him, and just to let you know how it was taken literally a minute before the match starts. I was like, Ronaldo, let's take a selfie. He's like, what are you doing? The match is starting right now. But he was really nice. He took a selfie and he ran to the match. And I took this picture of him. So I never even dreamt of standing next to this guy one day. And here I am, had the chance to shoot him. Mohamed Salah, and he's a very humble guy. Back again to the 4 things I told you. You need to be humble. I've never met anyone more humble than this guy. And this is exactly why he's successful. He's super humble. He's really humble. He's down to earth. He doesn't think, he thinks he's a nobody person. And I'm like, Salah, are you kidding me? He tells me, Ahmed, so what? Like, I'm a good football player, and then what? This is exactly why he's good. He just focuses on what he does on the pitch. That's all he does. And he's super humble. And then a life-changing moment happened. Literally, this moment, it took me less than 2 seconds. 2 seconds for me to capture one image which almost changed my life. You need to hang on to opportunities. God sends you opportunities once in a lifetime. You either make it or you don't. It took me 2 seconds to take the best picture I've ever taken in my life to date. You need to learn to give back to the people who stood beside you. That's one of the biggest success recipes. Give back to everyone, your parents, your teachers, people who stood beside you. Never forget a single person who stood beside you in your life. Even if your driver, no matter who he is, if someone believed in you and he stood beside you, you should always respect him. Always. This is the last thing I really wanted to touch on. Learn to give back. Learn to appreciate your teachers. Learn to leave a good mark behind you. Because being silly or being immature will not take you anywhere. Learn to be respectful. Learn to respect yourself so everyone else will respect you. Thank you very much.
First of all, I'd like to thank you so much for coming and speaking to our students. So thank you very much. Follow your passion. We sit in our graduation plan meetings, no matter what section you're in, and we say, you know, what are you passionate about? What do you love to do? Build your program here of study with that in mind. So I want you to think about what he was saying. Believe in yourself, follow your passions, you know, stay humble, and think about what you're doing every day, because what he was doing in grade 7, he still remembers. What he was doing in grade 9 and grade 10 and sitting in that photography class imprinted his life.